Hello fellow humans and cover seekers. This is a talk not just about game design, but about emotion, burnout, color, and why we make games that may not speak to everyone, but resonate deeply with those who see a part of themselves inside them. I'm Peter from Bulgaria, known online as Peter SVP. I've been passionate about games since playing Super Mario Bros. On the NES at age 5. Over the years, I've developed various games, starting with a trivia game in BASIC and a Bulgarian computer private CHC, and a Space War clone in Turbo Pascal, and then some fan-made remakes of Nintendo games, of which Super Mario 2011 gained traction. After graduating from university, I worked in the gaming industry and eventually, after many cancelled projects, I focused fully on Colorblind FX Desaturation, a project that became a personal creative journey. This game is not just a release, it's a culmination of years of vision, hard work, and everything I've been learned as a developer. The game no one played but everyone felt. When people ask me what kind of game Desaturation is, I usually say it's 2.5D puzzle platformer Metroidvania. But that label feels like a disguise. It's technically accurate, but emotionally wrong. Because Desaturation is not a game designed just to entertain. It's a game built to reflect, to question, and maybe teach someone, anyone, how to keep going when things stop making any sense. A game willing to make you more resilient, both in your personal life and the way you view the world. Desaturation was released on Steam in 2024. It sold poorly. The stats are forgettable, but Desaturation was never just a product. It was a reflection of everything I was going through at the time. Exhaustion, discouragement, and the need to feel like something I've created still means something to anyone. I made it with a small group of friends. Some of them left the team before the end, but stayed in my life. They supported me while handling their own struggles, and they did an excellent job. Others drifted away completely. Some of us broke. So did I. I wrote the story alone, without the help of artificial intelligence. Tools like ChatGPT didn't even exist back then, unlike now. Every line, every bit of dialogue, every quest structure came from me through trial, emotion, and error. I also coded every system myself. Some days, it felt like I was working inside my own head, and every bug I fixed was just another piece of myself trying to make sense. And despite all that, something strange happened. The few players who did finish it, they started saying things like, "This game gets me," or "I don't even know why this one made me cry." That meant more than any number. Look at those reviews and let's plays in there. Some people get bored, but that was expected. Not their type of game, I guess. Let us be honest, a lot of games fade into the void. Algorithms swallow them. Players just scroll past. But sometimes, something inside the game survives. A feeling, a line, a strange little spark that hits someone when they're vulnerable. And for a few people, Desaturation became that spark. I remember the first time a player messaged me just to say, "I don't know what this game is doing, but it feels like it understands me." That one sentence made all the failure worth it. I'm not here to teach you how to sell a game. I'm here to talk about what happens when you make one that bleeds and somehow it helps someone else start to heal.
Get that other box back over here. Oh my god. Alright. Get. You? No. Oh!
Now, let's jump into the actual game. Core philosophy: color equals emotion. Color is not just an aesthetic in Desaturation. It's a living metaphor for emotional states, soul integrity, and the right to exist as you are. In this world, when something loses its color, it's not being redesigned. It's being drained of meaning, of memory, of emotional truth. That's why bringing color back is not just about puzzle solving. It's about healing. When you complete the introductory chapter and go through the Spark University, which acts as both a war introduction and a mechanical tutorial, you are slowly led into the deeper structure of the world, the crystals of essence. These are not just collectibles, they are the emotional pillars of the game. Each crystal of essence represents something deeply human. They were not chosen randomly. They are fragments of emotional experience. Blue stands for water. It reflects emotional intuition, the kind of empathy that moves quietly beneath the surface. It's the first crystal you obtain, and fittingly, it comes from defeating a grotesque, toilet-dwelling boss. The whole sequence is one big flush metaphor, releasing what's built up, letting go of what no longer belongs inside you. Orange is fire. It carries anger, yes, but also the energy of the transformation and the courage to resist. That's why, when you pick up this crystal, suddenly swimming through lava feels like relaxing in your neighborhood pool. What once burned you down now carries you forward. Green represents wealth, not money, but value, self-worth. A reminder that survival itself has dignity, not in the monetary or material sense, but in the people around you, your friends, your relatives, the ones who make you feel something real. This is the same place, Eden's Inn, where you can purchase the gift for Splatron. A small gesture, but one of the few moments in the game where mechanics and emotion fully blend. You're not just spending in-game currency, you're investing in someone you care about. And yes, neither the crystal gives you power, nor the gift have any purpose in the game, rather to advance the plot. Pink is love. Not romantic love, but connection, trust and innocence, platonic love, care, protection. It represents the emotional bonds we carry through confusion and pain. It reminds you of who you still care about, and who still cares about you, even when things break down. And its power of effect manifests exactly like that. You are protected from the evil. Rainbow is vividness. It's not just color. It's all the color brought back together. It represents the moment where you stop chasing fragments and start rebuilding. It's about clarity, reflection, and becoming yourself again after everything has fallen apart. You can see this crystal's chest early, right there in the second level, but you can't open it until you defeat the boss later in the game. This is not just gating, it's foreshadowing. The game shows you something whole before you are ready to claim it, just like life does. Gray is balance, the in-between space, the place where things are not black and white. It's about ambiguity, tension, and learning to live with complexity. The game is all about balance. In fact, War Dashing himself is a manifestation of that concept, the embodiment of a human soul that has been split into good and evil parts. He is not entirely a villain, but a mirror of imbalance, a being formed by division and extremity. His existence raises the question, what happens when you remove one half of a whole and let the other grow unchecked? Black is death. Not just literal death, but the grief of letting go. It marks places tied to decay, memory, and irreversible change. In the final chapter, this can be subverted. You enter the realm of the souls, face the void, and depending on your actions, you eventually return back. Years before I made this game, I lost my grandmother and my father. Later, I was abandoned by someone I loved. Then friendships faded. Some betrayed me, and all of that shaped what this crystal means. Not just sorrow, but clarity. Loss strips life down to what still matters. Collecting the crystals of essence is not just a progression mechanic. It's a symbolic journey through what it means to be whole again. And know that journey, like real healing, is not linear. Sometimes it gets mocked, twisted, or interrupted. Like when Zachary, one of the most loyal members of the Cult of Ashen, creates his unstable crystal imitations, blending them with chaos instead of clarity. It's a reminder that power without understanding only deepens imbalance. Meanwhile, the protagonist walks the slower, harder path, facing what each crystal reveals instead of bending it into what they want. This is not a game about control. It's a game about integration. And that is where balance begins to return. There are characters in the game who fear these crystals, others chase them. Some fall apart in their presence. That's by design, because not every part of us is ready for healing. Some parts resist, some break, some need time to recover. Desaturation is built on the idea that emotions are systems, and color is the language they speak. Players don't just restore color, they restore the right to feel. In fact, in the game, you don't actually return the stolen colors back, you defeat the evil. Game design for self-development. Desaturation is often misunderstood. Some players think it's just a stylized take on color blindness, but it's not. It's a game about emotional complexity, about mental health, about pushing through grief, burnout, confusion, and still doing one more thing, fixing one more system, trying again. These days, many games are designed to be fast, easy to pick up, and instantly rewarding. That's not wrong, it's what the market rewards, but Desaturation was never made to be casual. In a way, it follows the spirit of these old Nintendo hard games from the 90s, not in punishing difficulty, but in emotional persistence. You're not handled healing, you fight through it. Now, let's talk about the world design of Splatland as a metaphor of survival and mental health. In a world where humanity once thrived economically but collapsed under its own contradictions, divided by ideology, dulled by complacency, and ultimately dismantled by conspiracy, what's left behind is not just ruins, it's consequences, memory, echoes of systems that outlived their makers. And among those echoes stands World Ashen, the project Desaturation, a government experiment born from the humans' conspiracy. World Ashen outlasted his creators and rewrote their legacy, not by preserving what was lost, but by hollowing it out. Splatland isn't a war zone. It's not cinematic chaos. It's just a strange, kind of voxelized world, drained of color, yet still alive in its own way. It's quiet, familiar, functional, but a little bit broken. You walk through spaces that are oddly structured, colorless, often improvised, where progression means solving environmental puzzles, restoring fragments, activating devices. The world isn't falling apart dramatically. It's just trying to function in a broken state. Your friends, the ones who once helped you light the candles or flip the switches, they're still here, but faded. The world around you feels like them, colorless, tired, still trying, with whatever was left of it. Your pet slime Squishy is a great example. You navigate rooms wired with fragile electricity, not just as puzzles, but as reminders of what happens when systems are overloaded or misconnected. Sometimes they work, sometimes they zap you, and sometimes they don't care. You reach that section with the moving platforms that seem helpful at first. Yes, they are carrying you forward, but if you don't jump off in time, they'll slam you into the ceiling. That moment says everything. Not all support systems are safe forever. You have to know when to move, when to stop trusting the thing that carries you onward. And that's the point. This is what survival mode actually feels like. Not monsters or firestorms, just the daily effort to keep moving, to patch one thing and hope another doesn't fall apart tomorrow. It's about living with limitations, navigating memory, stumbling through systems designed by people who aren't here anymore, or maybe never finished their work. It's unfinished but inhabited. You are part of this patchwork now. Splatland is held together by logic, physics, scripts, and old candles, but emotionally it's held together by willpower, both yours and the world's. It mirrors what it's like to keep going, even when you're unsure why. And it's not just about buildings and machinery. Take the underground railways, for example. Once a proud system of connection, now fractured and dormant. You don't just ride them, you fix them, reroute them, And then the system finally gives up.
Rail Vehicle Artificial Intelligence is unable to process the tunnel layout. Taking direct control is authorized.
That one line captures the entire world. Even the artificial intelligence doesn't know what to do anymore. But it still hands you the wheel. The system knows that you're still someone it should listen to. Those systems keep going not because someone told them to, but because something in them still believes there is a destination ahead. That's survival mode. The world isn't alive, but it isn't entirely dead either. It just continues half-aware, waiting for something to bring clarity back. Characters in Desaturation are not written as tropes or templates. They are emotional fragments, psychological truths, internal archetypes you meet on the outside. Every Splatian in the game represents more than just a personality. They each embody an emotional state that the player might recognize in themselves. Sparkle, the nerdy scientist, represents overthinking and the need to prove himself. He clings to logic and precision, often trying to solve emotional problems with technical solutions, in a world that doesn't always follow rules. In the story, he's your best friend, and that's not up to debate. The plot assigns him to you, and from that point on, he is part of your journey. Through constant chatter, awkward humor, and puzzle solving, Sparkle shows that loyalty isn't about getting everything right. But here is the twist. Sparkle's actions are part of what triggered the collapse. His early mistake helped unleash Lord Dashen and drain the world of color. His arc is about facing that guilt and choosing to stay, even after all he's done. Malone the Librarian is the archivist of memory. He represents control and preservation. His quest in the library revolves around cataloging human history, even when the world forgets. And in the game, he tasks you with the first real puzzle, to open a chest containing the world map that requires thinking outside of the box, and breaking both the usual rules of the conventional game design and the fourth wall. Dayan, the miner, represents frustrated hope and determination. He wants the underground system to function again, but the logic is broken. His quest teaches persistence even when the structure fails. Coffin, the farmer, is routine. He keeps farming, not for glory, but because this is what he knows. His story is about endurance through simplicity and continuing when the results are unclear. Aberon, the first Splatian, represents guilt and fear of being misused. That's why he is shy. His quest is about trust, not restoring him to usefulness, but helping him feel safe in existence. He is the most important Splatian for restoring the world, and also the one with the deepest story. Splatron, the artist, symbolizes nostalgia and emotional memory. He creates replicas of crystals and paints moments, not to be correct, but to remember. His presence affirms that emotional truth doesn't need to be perfect to be valid. Death, the Gravekeeper, reflects grief and unfinished mourning. He maintains the graveyard and dreams of names he can't quite hold into. His story is about loss that refuses to settle. Together, these characters form a spectrum of emotions, survival strategies, and inner voices. Their quests aren't distractions, they are reflections, and they echo outward through Ranina the goddess, the mind trying to restore order, through Lord Dashen, the part of the soul that splits and devours, through Alex Taylor, the past trying to warn the future, and through John, whose absence is felt more than his actual presence. And even the player is not a hero, not a savior, just a soul. A very important soul, carrying memory, reacting to pain, and maybe rebuilding something within, an indeed very important character, holding one of the biggest secrets of Desaturation. And that's it. Time to close this video with some words for you. Some games aren't just played, they're felt. Color Blend FX Desaturation is one of them. It was built with precision, with heart, and with intent. Yes, it's emotional. Yes, it's strange. But that's because it's honest. It came from a place of exhaustion, reflection, and survival. And maybe that's why it might speak to you. Not as something to beat, but something to sit with. To walk through when you don't have the words for what you're feeling. So if anything in this story felt familiar, if you saw even a glimpse of yourself in this broken world trying to function, trying to mean something, trying to continue, then I want to thank you. You still see color, and that means you're still here. And maybe that means you're ready to feel something again, even if it's subtle, even if it's quiet, even if it's pixelated, even if some physical hues are missing from it. If this talk stayed with you, if Desaturation sounds like a game you might not just play, but somehow I've touched your heart, remember, I invite you to try it. And if you already had, thank you. Truly. I wish you peace. I wish you moments of stillness. And above all, I wish you color. In your screen, in your work, and in your heart. In your life, in your family, in your world, and in your realm of the souls. I didn't know if Desaturation would reach anyone. I just knew I had to build it. To take the broken pieces of memory, emotion, design, self, and shape them into something I could walk through. Something someone else might walk through too. Something someone else will relate to. And if you're hearing this, if something in this story, this world, this talk felt like something you've been holding inside, then let me say something I didn't hear enough. You are not alone. You have friends. Maybe you have family. Maybe you have kids. And if you feel hopeless, there should still be something to make you feel colorful, to feel purpose. So, from the bottom of my very tired heart, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being you. Support games like this. Support small indies, not just mine. Find the ones that aren't shooting the waters but are still trying something real. And if Desaturation stayed with you, if you didn't play it yet, give it a chance. Share it. Leave a review. Or share this video. Or just follow me on socials. Or just subscribe, even if I don't post that much. Because sometimes, one sentence from one player or fan or supporter is enough to keep a creator going. Thank you for listening. And thank you for seeing color. And thank you for being you. You matter.